Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, RoboForce. You can find me at RoboForce on Twitter. You can find me News Nerd Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. You can find me at RoboForce on Blue Sky also.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings, live and direct for another week of hijinks and fun.
No! Sleep! To Brooklyn!
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Indeed. And you can find this here show on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
And actually, speaking of that, you will find, I will just say this right here, right now, because I'll probably mention it again later on, but there is a little ditty in our clickbait section for those who, know a little bit of the history of the Cold Slither Podcast Network, or I should say, where it comes from.
Right.
Which apparently was a video that, according to the video, is the anthem that shook the world. But you can find that in the clickbait section of this week's show. You can also find this show on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the best, favorable 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that will help people find our show.
Indeed. We got a good one for you this week, folks. We always do. Let's face it, every week is a banger. But this particular week, we have some gems in the comic book section. But before we get into the comic books, we're going to talk about this week's hard-built episode of Daredevil Born Again, which is, going by which parlance you're going by, season 1, episode 4, or season 4, episode 4, if you want to go that route, which is called 6 Semper Systema.
Right. Roughly translated, I believe it translates from the Latin into always to the system, or ultimately to the system, something like that.
Something like that.
And there are multiple meanings that you can take from that, because each character seems to carry a different can take a different meaning from the title of this episode. I want to say that it's a little disconcerting that we've not seen hide nor hair of the Daredevil costume, other than a brief glimpse of a helmet.
There you go. Yeah.
Or 2, or 4, in this most recent episode.
Right. Or was it 4 or 5?
What's that?
Was it 4 or 5?
My point is, it was multiple versions of the helmet, and it's a little bit of tough sledding, but at the end of the day, you have to remember that this is a 9-episode season, and it's the first half of a 2-season story arc, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one way to look at it. I'm choosing to take like the 30,000-foot approach to how to view this as a whole, because what we do get in this episode, this 4th episode, is our first glimpse, our first entry of one Frank Castle into the MCU proper.
Right.
And I'll hand it off to RoboForce with this. Yes, we were correct in our analysis, because Frank comes out and says, "Oh, what did he call them?
Effing fanboys."
Yeah, effing fanboys. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, and of course after the events of last week, we get a little bit more on what happened after the trial, and or what happens to a particular character after the trial, and we meet up with, like I said, that would. It's a couple days old. I'm just giving those one away because, just like in the comics, let's just say some relationship kind of pops up that may continue a certain lineage,
right? A certain mantle
way.
Being passed on. Well, we'll
Potentially.
We'll see how it develops.
Right. So, which starts off Matt's trip into which basically starts Matt's trip into, I guess, dealing with some things that he had not dealt with this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
To which he had to go, and part of which he had to go and seek out one said Frank Castle, which we knew he was going to be in the show at some point, and and given what happened at the end of the last issue, that pretty much marked one way or the other, marked
Mm-hmm.
that being the case. So, and outside of that, on the other side of that, we get more with Wilson Fisk's dealings with having to go through government red tape and trying to run the city, as opposed to his usual dealings.
Right. And we get to see more hints of the kingpin that we know and fear lurking under the surface, not as far under the surface as he would like.
Right.
We see hints of it in multiple parts of this episode.
Right. So basically, this is the episode where we start seeing both of the main characters kind of take a slide back into places they didn't want to go back to.
Right.
So.
Right. Reverting to character, reverting to form.
Mm-hmm. Now, probably going to take the rest of. Will it take the rest of the season for that to be the case? In one particular case, no, but because that was just bubble. That was been pretty much there the whole time. It's just kind of. Sometimes you find ways to cope with things that, whether people know about it or not, or at least attempt to cope with things that probably is not healthy for others.
And it should not be a big surprise that, I guess, the other main antagonist of this series, or at least of the season, makes like a big appearance twice in this episode, basically showing more of the character. We still don't get the character's motivation. We still don't have any sort of explanation behind the character's actions, or if the character has any powers, but it's still relatively early in the story of this antagonistic character.
Right. Presumably, even I don't know too much about this because I did not read the initial story, but I did read a little bit about the background, the comic-wise of the character, and I suspect that part of the comic stuff is probably not going to come into play.
Right. Yeah, this was during the Sewell run, or the Charles Soule or Sewell run, and it's of a relatively recent vintage, and it spanned a period of storytelling wherein, we'll just put it this way, there were alternatives to the X-Men who were being pushed in basically line wide,
right,
in Marvel Comics.
Right. You might say the mutants were swept under the rug for a good long time.
Exactly.
This time. But yeah, so I don't think that there's an aspect of that's probably not going to come into play here. But if it does, or they play with that a little bit, it'll be interesting to see, because definitely on the live action side, they haven't been, they've been kind of going away from that. So, or it hasn't really touched too much about that, I should say.
Right. That's the best way to put it, is that they have touched on it, but it's only for Easter egg purposes for the hardcore fans who understand.
Right. Or for those who actually like that one show that was that's definitely been swept under the rug at this point.
Right.
Other
Other than one character.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that character wasn't with the show I'm talking about. But yes, you're right.
Right.
You're but yeah, so there's not really much else that we could say without spoiling the show. But I thought for the most part, it was a pretty decent episode. There's, as Agent 70 and I were talking before the show, there's one particular part that one made me giggle, and two is a real earworm to those of a certain vintage, that a character has to deal with renditions of.
It's a real earworm too, because it's kind of funny. Roddy Cat and I were speaking in our pre-production meeting that there had to be some Gen X generation influence on the choice of this song and the use of this song, to the point where there's a choir of middle schoolers singing it, right?
Right.
That, like if you were ever singing a pop song in middle school, 5 will get you 10. Chances are you were singing a song that predated your existence by at least a decade or two, right?
I feel like I can attest to that. Not thinking back, but
now,
yes.
If you think about it right now, that you think about it, if you sang a song as part of a group, either a class song or whatever, you were probably singing a pop song that your teacher might have been familiar with, or your student teacher might have been familiar with, but you for sure were definitely not familiar with,
right?
Because it predated you, like I said, by decades. And in this case, this song reached its pinnacle in the 80s. So obviously predating all these middle schoolers, and probably, God, it's scary to think that they might be predating their youngest parents, like the youngest group of parents.
Quite possibly. Yeah. Or if you or some of us that were in a certain situation, possibly a song might have been remade that was definitely something from the time a time Agent 70 was referring to. And also, right. I will say this, that you have not lived, if you haven't watched the show yet, I will say there is a foreign language version of the same song that comes into play as well. That is also funny and amazing at the same time.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
So, and also we don't want to spoil the thing, but the foreign, well, the language and the people, trying to dance around this a little bit. Basically, the folks that were singing and the reason why they were singing it and the day in question may be confused with they're using a real world one, but they're can be confused with a fictional similar foreign country. If you're not paying too close of attention. So that's all we'll say about that, which it still kind of makes it as funny, but yeah. Including, actually, another thing about, because there was another character that comes into play, and even when when Matt Murdock was talking to said character and was initially bringing up, the day in question and the events of the day or whatever the case may be in relation to the character, I thought a similar thing, which wasn't the case, because like I said, real world versus comic book worlds in the similarity is the thing, but it was like, oh wait, no, it's not it's not that.
Right.
So could have been potentially setting up a thing, but was not. There was something else actually I really wanted to mention about this episode, that Oh, there was a reference to Fisk's wife being a totally different woman, which is amusing when you know the fact that it definitely is, because it is a new. I mean, it is a different character from the. I mean, it's a different actress from the one who initially played her in Daredevil. So, and this is not the first time of recent note that a similar reference / joke has been made. It wasn't even a joke when it was said, but a similar reference has been made in reference to a character and the different person playing them. So, like, that was kind of amusing and stuff. But also the main thing, this is what I want to mention. The parallels to real world government running right now still comes into play because of a thing that happens, or said and or done, or a phrase that was said from one character to another about the way government run or is not run.
Right.
That's like, man, are we sure they didn't just rewrite this like fairly recently? Because like we know they did redo these they redid this season a while back, and maybe during filming, some things could have still coming into play. But it's just weirdly eerie how close the statement that was made comes to what is actually happening or what is actually attempting to happen.
Right. And unfortunately, we had something that predated the writing of the comic book story, kind of echo in the comic book story, which is now being adapted into this show, into this show, and elements of which are being adapted into this show. Right. So, it's almost like a redux of, of certain real life events being remixed into into a new version, or at least the current version. Right. And it's not, it's not too much of a stretch to detect where things might have, presaged, where events that were written in the comics and then adapted to the screen actually presaged, unfortunately, what is happening in the real world now.
Right. So it is kind of wild, but like I said, when and or if you watch the episode, you will understand. And if you've even watched the last couple of episodes, you will get a sense of what we're talking about just now.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
That being said, we can go on to the books of the week, actually. And we're going to start off with, funnily enough, G.I. Joe number 5.
G.I. Joe number 5 is published by Image. It is written by Joshua Williamson with art by Tom Riley, colors by Jordi Belair, and letters by Russ Wooton. The Joe, this is my very brief summary of this. I was mildly disappointed in this issue. Roddy Cat, I think, has a much sunnier view of the events of this issue. But my take on it is that the Joe team makes a move to spring clutch and spring themselves while they're at it. And because we last left them in the clutches of Cobra, and ultimately what happens in this issue, tables get turned, but ultimately the Joe team also finally comes face to face with the head snake himself. Bum, bum, bum. Wait, where's my dramatic sound effect? And that's where we leave off at the end of this issue.
Right. This, I would say right off the bat, this is actually a potential click of the week for me.
Like I said, he's got a much different perspective on this.
And because it's like, if you remember the cartoons, like, especially in particular the first couple of miniseries where a couple of Joes get taken, but then the turnaround happens like near the end of the series. and or actually much like probably what the second or third miniseries, like, okay, you find you got one set of Joe or Joe's getting caught, you got another one's behind enemy lines at some point, getting there at some point, who may or may not helping out the first one, of which similarly we have here. And we have the team, as it were, coming together and kind of turning the tides of things going on. And of course, in this particular way, I think in this particular issue, spoiler alert, hey, guess what? We get a character saying the thing that you think that the Joes for saying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not Avengers Assemble, but it's in that same vein.
Exactly. We also get a couple of meeting of couple of a, well, they're not a couple, but let's just say a comic book / animated series classic couple meeting each other for the first time.
Right. It's not exactly a meet cute,
right,
but it is it's a variation on that.
Right. Much to the chagrin of the person that the person on the cover, if you're watching the video version, seeing has a, to their chagrin.
Yep.
They seem to have a problem with this. Now, will it come into the thing? Who's to say? But right now, I do know one particular character is continuing to wondering why the hell they picked the side that they are. And that started off the first issue, but it has continued into this issue because of the fact that Duke is poking the bear while they're in captivity, and they're like, "The hell, have you lost your mind?" So, but also they haven't really set up. Though, speaking of the character and Duke, have not set them up as they had those stupid movies or that stupid movie had done. So we're not there potentially yet. Will we get there in this? We don't know. They seem to be playing around with a couple of things here. But of course, as things tend to happen in G.I. Joe, for all is not won or lost because of what happens here, and let's just say some calculations might lead to a new version of the mass device. I mean, the brainwave scanner, of which also comes from the comic books. So, and the person who made it also comes from the comic books, who, let's just say, gets retired. And that's all I'm gonna say. So, yeah, that's G.I. Joe number 5. And Cobra Commander is still kind of being ruthless in a way that his allies are, have probably still yet seen the full the full extent of.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm liking this version of Cobra Commander kind of, but at the same time I feel like there's going to be some return to form for the comic book at some point, and there's still some there, but this one is a little bit more, definitely more dangerous than they would ever show in the comics. Or the show, I should say, rather.
Absolutely.
So, that being the case, we're going to move on to the next book that we have in common, and we're just going to do it with a little bit of something like this.
Tally ho! Wings of silver, birds of steel.
SilverHawks number 2.
SilverHawks number 2 is published by Dynamite. It's written by Ed Brisson with art by George Cambadeas, colors by Ellie Wright, and letters by Jeff Eckelberry. So Roddy Cat will always enjoy when I say this. Roddy Cat was correct in saying that this is a prequel of sorts to bring together the hold on. Just click this to bring together the parts of the SilverHawks team we probably remember best.
Yeah, which I gotta admit though, it's a good way for them to start. because like you wouldn't think they were going to go completely with, because I mean obviously for those of a certain vintage who know the show, we never got anything like this as far as I can remember.
No,
it's just
I think we started with the team in place.
correct, and they're just going off on their adventures. You know, even in ThunderCats, but at least we got some backstory on. We got like 30 seconds of backstory on how they got to where they were.
Right.
But yeah, so they're basically, as it seems with this arc, they're basically setting it up to where, okay, we're going to meet each member of the team as they're putting the team together. And in this particular case, it's Bluegrass's turn to get, to get meet. But his intro comes with let's just say an opposing attached to an opposing an adversary, put it this way, that the team will likely have.
Right, and I don't know if that was ever explored in the cartoon at all, like a connection between them.
I would say probably not, but yeah, who knows?
It's interesting that they would set up the characters this way.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense. I mean, the way they did it. So that was a good. That was a cool thing. We also, I am very curious. I wish, I don't know if, let me see. Oh, yep, there we go. It's just my man, just the man I wanted to ask a question to. So shout out to Von Gloom, who is in the chat, because I got a question. Because I have got a question for you. First of all, let's see. Von Gloom says Cobra. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he did do that in a. Well, I mean, it could have been a mutually enjoyable way. We don't know. Echoberry, yes, Jeff Echoberry was the one who did the letters. Yes, I'm not sure. Yes. The thing that you give sick babies. Hey, hey,
Goodness.
Hope Copper Kid doesn't just whistle. Yeah, that'll be the curious, because I know they're probably saving him for last, because the way they set him up. And I think the next issue is going to be the twins. So. Yeah, and as Agent said, I guess the two musicians had to be exes. Like I said, that's what makes it actually pretty good. It was like, yeah, that makes sense. Bluegrass has a guitar and likes to, and as we get into a little bit of his backstory, but we see him in the light that we don't see him in the show. Well, we kind of see him in the show, but not, to an extent. So it was an interesting use of what they had to play into this this reboot or retelling or whatever the case may be. It's not a retelling, but this version of the group. Now, here's the question I have for you, Von Gloom, if you can answer this, because I assume you read the book. Is his magical friend Atticus who we think it is, or is going to be who we think it is, or is this just another similar person? If you answer that, I would appreciate it, because I was looking that up and I don't see. Yes, he was too crunchy. She was a little bit rock and roll.
Oh gosh,
that's a reference from probably before most of our times, or at the very start of our times. That's kind of funny though.
Oh my gosh.
But so, oh yeah, and on the other side of that, while waiting for Von Gloom to answer that question, we see Quicksilver get trained by the by a member of the former group. Oh,
right.
So you're still
it was interesting to see him. Right. It was interesting to see him discover one of the functions of
oh yes,
their equipment that is like, it's just assumed, right? I was like, oh, they're just discovering this now,
right?
Like that's just something that I thought was such a great design touch. When it came to to the characters themselves, as a kid growing up.
Right. Well, see, the thing was, because even they say it in this book, because, and my apologies, Von Gloom, because you just said you were still behind on SilverHawks, but let's just say Quicksilver has a Captain America moment at the beginning, and the commander is the Nick Fury here in the way. In a similar way, and that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah.
but also, yeah, when you read the book, there is a character that shows up in here that is, I'm thinking, is possibly another character who is going to eventually be another character. You don't care about spoilers. All right, cool. There's a dude named Atticus that is in the book that is a friend of Bluegrass, and he's a magician. And he is also, and he kind of looks like Hotwing. And I'm assuming that is Hotwing, or someone probably from the same race as Hotwing, or, you know, whatever they have for races in that world. But
planet, right? It might be from the
yes.
same planet. Yeah.
Yes. So I did not know if that was him, because I couldn't find anything on whether that was his actual name, Hotwing's actual name, before he became Hotwing, or this is just like someone similar. And I know you don't care for spoilers. We try not to spoil it for other people, but I assume that, you know, and this is one of the few cases. This is one of the few cases I was like, well, people will probably still read it if they haven't read it already. So, and yes, as you shout out another fictional name, which is one I hadn't heard in quite a while. That's funny.
Right. That's what I think of whenever I hear that name. So.
Yes, but it is not that character, sadly. But like I said, when you get around to that, if you do one of your videos on it, you let me know or something like that. But regardless, yeah, that's SilverHawks #2. It was a good issue, I thought, and it was like I said, the way they kind of played around with, you know, the tornado, the couple of characters, you kind of knew at a certain point, it was like, well, especially if you knew enough about the characters that the characters in question, was like, well, we kind of know what it is, because I admit it, when I first read it, I was like, wait, who is this person? Oh, wait, right, I totally forgot. There was a rogues gallery, and this person was a part of said rogues gallery. So there you go. But yeah, good stuff, that SilverHawks book. I'm, like I said, there's Brisson's doing some decent stuff. I was gonna say, speaking of Ed Brisson, but I don't think you read that other book that he wrote this week. So we're going to go to the next book that we have in common, which is Avengers #24.
Avengers #24 is written by Jed MacKay, with art by Farid Karami, colors by Federico Blee, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So this is the end of this little cosmic heist caper, and it gives Jed MacKay a chance to wrap up a very fun Black Cat side quest story. You know, no big spoilers here, but by wrapping it up, we get to bring the Avengers up, this Avengers book, up to date with the current status quo in the Marvel Universe of One World Under Doom.
Yes. What was I gonna say about this book? So it's you tend to forget a couple of things that's been going on. Like, we are 24 issues into this volume of Avengers, and a couple of things still kind of get lost in the shuffle in that, hey, guess what? They were working with Kang at one point because of these events that are coming up. And then there was this other part with Meridian, or whoever their name is, that came into play, that was a part of it. And this is just so happens to be when that kind of comes together.
Mm-hmm.
But also we have this one Elder of the Universe that is also doing what they tend to do. Given their station.
I can't help but think that, you know, there's a lost opportunity for marketing here, between, you know, with all of the gambling sites that, you know, like, if you're a sports fan at all, you know that you know, gambling and its legalization have provided multiple licensing opportunities for professional sports teams and leagues. And it's just interesting to think that, you know, I kind of half expect to see a piece of marketing for one of those websites, somewhere in this, somewhere in this story arc. I just, I was just expecting to see it. It's just, it's become part of the landscape now, especially if you are a sports fan.
Right. The Grandmaster promoting Prize Picks or Underdog, you saying?
Exactly. Like it's, like, oh, there's a FanDuel or
Right,
a
or
MGM, whatever,
Right,
So,
right. That would be funny, but also lost on probably a good clump of sports fans. Let's face it, there's only a certain part of that Venn diagram that's going to get that.
intersects, right? I get it.
Right. So, but still would be funny to see. But yeah, like this was a pretty good wrap up to this. Like, things kind of start to look bad. Well, things were looking bad. But of course, the Avengers being the Avengers, and of course, I want to say a MCU-esque start of a plan by a person with similar calculation functions than the one who did it well, not similar, but comparable calculation functions than the one person that did it at the end of the MCU, who granted was magical in nature, and this, as opposed to what happens here, but you can kind of still see it. So, and maybe it's just me because I'm kind of looking at that too much, and I probably shouldn't be, but it felt similar to me. That's all I'll say about that. And then the plan gets enacted, and things kind of go off, and it's kind of funny. And then, of course, like Agent 70 says, oh, and I want to say Black Cat possibly makes an X-Men, the first movie reference. That is a much maligned a line from Storm. She says a similar line. Yes, Von Gloom, you picking up what I put down. That's also what kind of made this issue slightly funny. And then, as Agent 70 said, yeah, we catch up to current events, of which we are going into with our next book, which is excuse me, I'm gonna find it real quick. One World Under Doom, number 2 of 9.
One World Under Doom, number 2 of this 9-issue series, is written by Ryan North with art by R.B. Silva. Colors are by David Curiel, and letters are by VC's Travis Lanham. So this issue is a very clear candidate for Click of the Week for myself. I really enjoyed a lot of, as tough as it is to read, a lot of the real world parallels of and some of the discussion and the debating, specifically between Victor Von Doom and, it's a spoiler to just drop the name, but I'll just say his goddaughter.
Right.
If you're even passingly familiar with the Fantastic Four and their story, then you know who his goddaughter is and who his goddaughter's related to, and his goddaughter's level of intellect.
Yes.
And it's interesting to see them kind of argue and debate a certain way of thinking that Victor is very much creating facts to support his argument, and that is essentially the prime fallacy behind what all this is about.
Right. As I say in my notes, Valeria's, I'll just go ahead and say it, Valeria's love and vice versa of Doom has always been kind of crazy to me.
Right.
And vice versa, because like granted, there are not too many people, or haven't been too many people, and he's even said in this issue, matter of fact, who could get the level of access, much less attention and patience from Doom for any length of time. She's one. And I was gonna say one of the few, but it's not even a few, because it's like at one point you could have said it was Sue.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like early on, but we're not even going to talk about the Secret Wars.
Right.
But yeah, oh, what the hell was that? Okay. All right, great. Hopefully nothing serious. Anyway, but yeah, so it has always been crazy, and I'm hoping what she said she did in this issue doesn't kind of come back to hurt the family, put it this way.
Right. Well, the family does take a bit of a hit in this issue. Yes. Mm-hmm. And that was obviously teased in the solicitations. And, we'll see what the ramifications are of that going forward. And we'll see how permanent it is. It is not the first time we've seen something like this happen to this character. It is probably the first time in a long time we've seen magic be behind this particular change in the character.
Right. Yeah, the thing we saw was coming, no pun intended, is coming. It was in the, it's been in the news, or if you follow comic book news, but although it's not, from what I understand, it's not the only one that's gonna happen to, so we'll see once that happens. But basically, potential click of the week, the overall question that people have been wanting to know has been asked by the one person who could very well ask it and not get something bad happen to them, thanks to Doom being sweet on them. Doom pretty much makes the fool out of heroes again. We can safely say that because right now he's still on his upward swing of dealing with the heroes of the world, or of New York, I guess specifically. But regardless,
he's winning hearts and minds.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we're getting to see the true fault that lays at the center of Victor's plan.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's what's revealed in his discussion with his goddaughter.
Exactly. So actually, I'm going to read these comments from Von Gloom. Between President for Life Doom and Mayor Fisk, these villainous politicians are better than our actual politicians. Sad, but true.
Yeah, very true.
Side eyes Eric Adams, because I know he is also a New York, which he says himself. I mean, so. The Vision pulled, no, I'm not going to read that. I still want to hold down Johnny and shave off his 70s porn stash. But again, as we said with last issue, it is rendered palatable in this particular series. I luckily read the last Fantastic Four book issue before reading this issue, which was good. I mean, granted, they kind of touch upon it slightly a little bit at the beginning of this, but not by much. Right. But it was good to kind of, it's like, what, if anything is going to be close to be touching on anything, it was that. So let me go ahead and read that, and I'll catch up with the couple of the tie-ins before the next issue. So that being said, like I say, it's not a necessary read, but it's an interesting read going into this particular issue of the event. But now that the first family has had their time, another big group is going to try to take a swing at the Emperor. And this time with a version of the group that they would have fought. They have fought many times in the past, put it that way. So that's going to be interesting. Von Gloom says Doom naming her after the woman who he sacrificed to hell for more power is wild. Yes, you forget about that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. And Sue still has access to Namor whether she wants it or not. Yeah, or he, for that matter. So, which we know he does or has. Right. So, much to Reed's chagrin, but yes, they have. I'm sure they have continuous access to each other, which is never not funny when it comes up. That being said, though, we are going to move along to what we got next. Yep, our last book that we have in common, which was a surprise for both of us. And that book is New Champions number 3.
So New Champions number 3 is written by Steve Fox with art by Ivan Fiorelli, colors by Arthur Hesley, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. This is very much a surprise Click of the Week candidate for me, simply for the return of the champions minus Cyclops, and it also serves as a reminder that we need a Viv Vision Marvel Legends figure.
Agreed.
You know, like I get that this is supposed to be like a way to cross over and mesh together the legacy of that version of the champions with this current iteration, which is still looking to gain some traction with the general audience, and putting them together with this version of the champions, while it seems like it's been a while since we've seen this team together. In real time, it probably has been a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely worth a chance to put them back together in a reunion style team up.
Right. So some would say that this is the passing of the baton, or whatever similar phrase that is. I'm not taking it that way, because I mean I don't think if anybody's actually said that, but like I said, you could read this book, kind of read it that way, but I am not, because I'm still not a fan of the fact that these characters have that name when we still got this perfectly good group who show up in this book, and yes, haven't seen in a good minute, who I wish we would see more of, honestly.
Right.
That that they're in here for that reason, or for whatever similar reason. So, but they handle it pretty nicely. As meetings tend to happen in this, you got off on a certain foot, but it was also because of the machinations of this new Magneto fangirl that I'm sure we will hear a little bit more about probably in the next couple of issues. And also,
It's a trap!
Yeah. So, but ultimately, though, like I said, I'm not trying to speak for Agent 70, but he did mention this before the show, found himself pleasantly surprised and liking this issue.
Oh yeah,
didn't want to, but it did.
Definitely. I get that.
Outside of that, there's really not much else to say. Oh, there was another character that is in the mix of this new crew that I was asking, like, what's their whole deal? And it sounds like we are going to get the answer to that next issue.
Right.
And outside of that, of course, Miss Marvel and I guess, what is her name? Lady Liberty or just Liberty? I can't remember. Of course, them are the two that are pretty much going to be friends after this. So that just makes all too much sense in the world. So that part right itself is like, yeah, they are too much alike to not be friends. So, but that being said, yeah, that was new Champions number 3. Still going to continue with this book for the next couple of issues, or until I get tired of seeing them and want a Champions proper book. Reading a little bit from the chat real quick before we go forward. Was the redhead Madeline Pryor? Yes, I believe it was, because it seemed that being the case. If you're referring to what I'm thinking you're referring to, and I think you are. Reed, you were with him again, weren't you? How you know, Reed? Because you smell like Von Gloom.
Where is it?
That's funny.
Here we go.
And I've totally forgot. Johnny did mess with Namorita for a minute, which was the weirdest thing in the world. I totally forgot about that. Just Liberty. Okay, cool. Thank you. Because I wasn't sure. I thought they had an adjective or something before that, but nevertheless, it is what it is. And with that, folks, we're done with the books that we have in common. Let's get into a little bit of rapid fire.
Alrighty, rapid fire review time, folks. Here we go.
I ain't got time to bleed.
First up in rapid review is Absolute Batman #6, published by DC. It's written by Scott Snyder with art by Nick Dragotta, colors by Frank Martin, and letters are by Clayton Cowles. This is the finale of the opening story arc, a relationship that most Batman fans took for granted for most of the character's history begins anew and in a different form in this issue. So that's pretty much one of the big takeaways. There are a few takeaways from this issue. There are a few things to take away from how this first story arc resolves itself and how some relationships change because some revelations are made between issues 5 and 6. Next up is Exceptional X-Men #7. It's written by Eve L. Ewing with art by Carmen Carnero, colors by Nolan Woodard, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. This is the collateral damage issue of X-Manhunt. So it only tangentially connects to the X-Manhunt crossover. So you can read this specifically if you are keeping up with this series and not worry too much about how it connects into the greater crossover in the X books. And finally for me is X-Force #9. It's written by Jeffrey Thorne with art by Marcus Toe, colors by Eric Arciniega, and letters by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. This is X-Manhunt Chapter 6, and believe it or not, this is a surprising Kliq of the Week candidate for the Tessa/Sage part of the story. If you recall, when I spoke about some of the other X-Manhunt crossover issues, the better issues did a good job of balancing how the crossover story played out, as well as how the main story in the book, basically the side story when the crossover issue hits, is treated, and how the stories are addressed and how they might intermingle and intertwine. This issue, I felt, did not serve the main storyline all that well. I believe X-Force is ending, and I don't find the main storyline compelling. It's the crossover story here that was really compelling. If you are interested in finding out what's happening in X-Manhunt, X-Force #9 is a crucial issue for you to read, because a lot of, this is the penultimate issue of the X-Manhunt series, or the crossover. So it's pretty much required reading for just getting to the end of that X-Manhunt story. And that's it for me.
Alrighty then. As we look at the Sage / Will.i.am variant cover of X-Force, reading for the chat real quick. Johnny is a himbo. Yes, this is true. There's very few women he hasn't been with. Of course, you remember that the most recent Alien exploit. He is the Jim Kirk, as I said then. He is the James T. Kirk of the Marvel Universe. I'll say that again, forever and ever. Think only Wolverine has ever beaten him in terms of diversity of lays. That's funny. Batman H for what he did to that kid, and X-Force 9 mean that Xavier will be gone for another decade. Clefenberg, Jesus Christ. You're a wild ass boy. You're a wild ass dude, but I like it. So for myself, let's see where we're starting off at. Oh, I didn't put these in. I should have put those in on a sheet, and that was my fault, but that's fine. We're going to start off with a little bit of, boy, I'm going to have some editing to do, ain't I? I sure am. Haha. Grand. Hey, where's my... Okay. Sorry, folks. I'm definitely going to put a marker there so I can cut all this shit out. Let's see what we got going on here. There we go. ThunderCats.
Okay.
ThunderCats Lost. Number 1 or 5. Wait, what did you say? 87?
Said okay. That's what you were queuing up. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I was trying to find it. Well, actually, that was a couple of things, but that was beside the point. Anyway, written by Ed Brisson, art by Rafa Labasco, colors by Rashawn Curiciano. Yano? My apologies if I butchered that name. And letters by Jeff Eckleberry. So I shouldn't read that part because it might have been a preview copy thing. But I guess I'll find out when I get my actual copy of this. So this is this little side story that has to do with the three, well, a group of later cats with the three later ThunderCats. If you remember enough about the animated series to get that far, there's the three you will probably know, and then there's a couple of added for this story. They crash land on. Excuse me. They are giving a reception, let's just say, on Third Earth as they are landing. We don't necessarily have the time frame, but we know this feels like it might be after, after the main series has touched down on Third Earth. They have a mission that they have been set upon them, and that one part one part of the mission has to do with them finding a new leader, or not necessarily finding a new leader, but after partially the events of this book, there's some folks that don't make it out, and they have said this in the run up to this book that not everybody's going to make it out alive. And I said I didn't expect it to be any of the ones that showed up in the show, and boy, was I wrong. Apparently.
Oh no!
And I will say that, and that's kind of a spoiler for this, but you can read to find out which one doesn't make it and what their mission is. Well, their mission is basically, hey, they got to get from there to here, to a point. But again, you can read about the stuff they have to go through, or the stuff they go through, and I'm thinking this is a person that their adversary is a person from the show named Captain Shiner. That name kind of sounds familiar, but also I don't recall that person. And there's another adversary that is going to run up on these cats during the course of this mini series. So, like I said, 5 issues. We got 5 issues of this, and we'll see if it's going to blend in with the main series, or in Rogue One fashion, they don't get to where they were trying to get to,
Right?
or they won't be around next year. But we shall see. Next up is. Why am I looking there when I know I don't have it down? Right, that's enough of that. Defenders of the Earth, number 5 of 8 is my next book. And now I'm trying to find the book, of which I know. No, I had the last couple of weeks of trying to put together the covers for the book. Just a little behind the scene has been terrible because of things going on behind the scenes with
real life.
Yeah,
Right.
well, not with real life with Diamond and that nature. I'll put it that way. Because some of the stuff they'll have, things are not. It's sick. So I don't have that cover. Anyway, Defenders of the Earth, number 5 of 8, written by Dan DiDio, art by Jay Calafiore, colors by Juancho, aka Juancho Velez, excuse me, and letters by Carlos M. Mangual. So, the Phantom's brother supposedly had taken over the mantle of the Phantom, but the Phantom is still the Phantom. And let's just say that, as I say in my notes, a family reunion ends up being a betrayal. A family reunion that started off as a trap ends up being a betrayal and a making up. And meanwhile, Flash and Lothar go to see Lothar's wife or ex-wife, I'm not sure what the deal is there for a reason, but meets into a problem that Flash and his son had kind of dealt with a couple of issues ago, and is the overall issue going on here. So the Defenders are kind of back together, but in the beginning of this book, there are some issues between them that needs to be worked out, or partial of which needed to be worked out, and one that is still kind of being worked out. So there is that. Next up, excuse me, we have No Pithy, just no Pithy, and I don't have to think what it. Oh, Lord have mercy. Dick Tracy, number 8, written by Alex Segura and Michael Morrissey. Art by Geraldo Borges, creative consultant Chantal Amy Osman, colors by Mark Englert, and letters by Jim Campbell. So, stop me if you heard this one. There's a serial killer named The Blank that's killing bad guys for the last couple of issues, and apparently, at the end of the last issue, Dick Tracy finds out that they may be a cop. They may be a cop. And that goes further to be shown in this particular issue as Dick Tracy's partner may be the one being set up as such. But we don't know if that is the case or not, or if that's just a swerve. But Dick Tracy ends up, if you are familiar with the movie Dick Tracy, and that is your only tied to the Dick Tracy franchise, the name Breathless Mahoney may mean something to you. And that they show up with it. Now, granted, Breathless Mahoney is a long-standing Dick Tracy character. Well, I say long-standing, but apparently from what I saw from back in the 40s, that the character comes from. I'll say that much. But he goes to Breathless Mahoney to see what she knows about everything, and there may be a little bit more there, potentially, but not really, because Dick Tracy's Dick Tracy. We'll see how that works out. Meanwhile, Tess Trueheart kind of leans on the cop and finds her way into some trouble with the first thing, potential trouble with the first thing I mentioned about this issue. And that's pretty much is that. Next up, though, Sam Wilson Captain America, number 3 of 5. It is 5 issues, right? For the Sam Wilson thing. Yes, it is. There we go. Written by Greg Pak and Evan Narcisse. Art by Eder Messias and Valentin Delandro. Color artist Fer Fuentes Sujo, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. And typos galore also starring in this, but we're not going to talk about that, which we just did. So, after last issue, Sam and the others, which means his cousin Billy, the Falcon, Josiah X, who's going by Shadow Soldier now, and everybody else dealing with that whole island in the sky situation. We find out things are more than what they seem to be, and there's some definitely shenanigans going on with the company that is behind this whole situation, and Sam and the others finally shake themselves out of what's going on to try to put together a plan together to try to stop what is going on here. So there you go. And it might have something to do with the Chocolate Cities. If you know your Parliament Funkadelic, you know you know what cities that might be. There was also a Snap Wilson callback, which I thought I'd never see in modern history, because there's not too many times you're gonna see Sam Wilson and that not come up one way, shape, or form, and it does here. That being said, next up is actually the last book for me. And this is an amusing crossover. DC X Sonic the Hedgehog, number 1 of 5. That's right, folks. You heard it here. Written by Ian Fleming, art by Adam Bryce Thomas, colors by Matt Herms, and letters by Becca Carey. This is funny for me to even be saying this, but this is a potential click of the week as well for me. Darkseid comes to Sonic's world and starts causing havoc, because if you're a Sonic the Hedgehog player / fan, you know what he's there after. But this leads to a meeting of Sonic the Hedgehog and his crew, and of course the Justice League on that world. And in said fashion, the folks that you would expect to be similar in nature from both of those worlds / franchises do gravitate towards each other. Of course, Sonic, the first person for Sonic meets from the DC universe is the Flash, just to give you a hint. Tails and Amy meet Cyborg and Wonder Woman, and and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, no Eggman sighting yet, although I could have sworn in the beginning I thought there was a collaboration between Darkseid and Eggman, but that has not shown itself to rear itself up yet. But yeah, as things are going on, there's like pairings happen and things go on, but Darkseid is. There you go. And with that, folks, those are my books of the week. Kliqs of the week.
All righty, Kliqs of the week.
Von Klum says the amount of cocaine that went into making that story must have been astronomical. I don't know. I've seen like that Turtles Naruto one is probably more bonkers than this one is. But yeah, somebody was clearly having some thoughts or some recreational substances, possibly. Agent 70, do you have your picks?
It's rare that I have so many candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Just to reiterate, I had X-Force number 9 as a candidate, New Champions number 3 as a candidate, One World Under Doom number 2 as a candidate, and that's pretty much it of the books that I read. So I think I'm going to choose One World Under Doom number 2, because that was pretty much a standout issue amongst these pretty good issues that moved some stories along pretty well.
Okay. As we see the Doomosaurus variant cover on the screen right now. There we go. So, interesting. Part of me kind of wants to go with that, honestly. But let me weigh this out for like 5 seconds. So yeah, mine were DC and Sonic the Hedgehog number 1 of 5. Also G.I. Joe number 5 was the other one, as well as A One World Under Doom, number 2 of 9. They make cases for each other. I did also like SilverHawks too, the way that one went down, but like I said, probably may possibly not be enough to make Kliq of the Week status.
Right.
But I'm actually going to go with, well, this is the way my twisted brain is working nowadays, I guess. DCX Sonic the Hedgehog, number 1 of 5.
I am the Eggman. I am the Walrus.
Yeah,
Cuckoo, Kachoo.
Sadly, no Eggman came into this yet, but I suspect at some point probably. It was fun. It was a fun issue. I will dare say, like I said, One World Under Doom is definitely it's a standout in its own right, as well. So you really can't go wrong with another. You know what? New Champions would have almost made it, except for I'm just patently trying to hate on that book, and I shouldn't be. It's not fair to that book, but that book was also a potential run, because it was actually, I'm like, all right, you made me like this. But that's only because the former version of the champions showed up in his book, and it worked out so well. Anywho's, we are going to go into the news section, but first, let's get an ad read.
Alrighty, our first ad read of the night is for Funko Fun at First Sight. It is your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world-famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise such as custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
All right, cinematic news about this, as we do about this time. Actually, wait, let me see. Nope, we don't have anything to catch. Oh wait, Von Gloom did say Wolverine for furries. That's funny. He also says we all know Xavier has a thing for women with feathers, like Scott Stadt has a thing for lady skunks. And,
Oh no!
And Wolverines were furries.
Goodness,
is that true? Well, I don't know. I'm not even going to go down that road. Cinematic news, as we do about this time. Invincible's creator confirms season 4 will have an entirely original storyline. So it seems, I guess there may or may not be spoilers for season 3 in this, but okay, so that was that character. Yes. So at the end of Invincible season 3, number 8, we do see a character coming back into play for that we hadn't seen since I think the first season. Voiced by some folks is Lex Luthor. And apparently, according to this article, that character in the Invincible books was much less than what the show has given them. But yeah, apparently a devil is making a deal with the devil. So in the post-credit scene. So there you go. And I guess that's going to be what the next season is going to be about, because of what they discussed in that post-credit scene. There you go. Next up.
Alrighty, so in a relatively recent development, the original Looney Tunes are no longer available on Max. So these are the original Looney Tunes animated shorts, which ran during the golden age of animation from 1930 through 1969, have been scrubbed by Warner Brothers Discovery-owned Max. So this is part of a new plan whereby the streamer will prioritize adult and family programming. Children's programming such as Looney Tunes and Sesame Street before it does not fare as well and is no longer viewed as a priority for the streamer. Okay.
Get fucked, Zaslav. That's what made the thing to go worth going on to.
Listen, apparently they took the West Wing off for like we talked about it on the show once.
Right.
They took the West Wing off for like a day or two, and then it popped back on, and I didn't notice it, but when it started to pop up in like the just added, I was like, what do you mean just added?
Right. This is so stupid. So here, and the other problem with this, like, that's classic TV stuff that's all got swept over. A lot of it got swept over, because I mean, some of the stuff was newer and, you know, not my cup of tea, but still, like, where is this stuff? Because we damn sure don't have a Looney Tunes collection out there anywhere.
Right. It's unfortunate because our usual alternative would be to try to track it down in physical media.
Right.
And create a collection for your own so that you could go back to it anytime you want. I should follow my own advice and get myself the Blu-ray of the entire season of all, I think, 7 seasons of The West Wing. So
right, at least that's still out there. And even the Looney Tunes collections that we've had in the past weren't all like complete, because there was like, you know, here's a group here, here's a group there, here's some stuff that might overlap, but it wasn't even full collections. I mean, for like a full-on collection of quote unquote everything, you know, because obviously there's a lot of that stuff that probably won't hold up or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I don't know. This is so stupid. As Von Glove would say and has said in the chat, Zaslav. So yeah. He also says they're going to flesh out that demon at the end, I guess, because I don't remember seeing that Hellboy knockoff in the comics. Yeah, and they kind of, yeah, they're stretching that out. Wait, people are going to be Luffy if they aren't already? I'm not sure what that. One Piece.
It's probably a One Piece.
I mean, that's definitely a One Piece reference, but I'm not sure to what. Yeah, and Zaslav definitely said F them kids. So, yeah, I don't. It's so stupid, so stupid. Anyway, next up, Colin Farrell circling Lucha Guadagnino's. I apologize, I probably butchered that name. Sergeant Rock, and DC's Sergeant Rock, which I thought we had the story before, but it's a new story, or maybe it's gone from rumor to possibly being an actual thing. So he's going from the Penguin to Sergeant Rock, I guess. Which, I mean, sure, that, you know, he was in makeup, so why wouldn't that make much sense? I guess, I don't know. Sounds like he's going to play Sergeant Rock, and it's going to be set in World War II, which that should be the case, and probably follow whatever storyline from back then in whatever DC book that was. So there you go. Von Gloom says pirating Looney Tunes and other shows taken off. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that because that would be almost incriminating. But there's been some archiving of some things in the past few weeks. That's all I'm going to say. Next up, though.
So the RoboForce franchise is expanding in a big way as it jumps to the small screen with a new animated series. And now there's a date for the anticipated premiere. Wow, that's hyperbole. So the Nacelle company, who did Biker Mice from Mars, has revealed that RoboForce, the animated series, will premiere exclusively on Tubi starting on April 12th, which The Rock, we're talking Dwayne The Rock Johnson, revealed along with the poster for the project. So the Rock 7 Bucks Productions partnered with Nacelle, the Nacelle company, to bring the RoboForce animated series to life. Okay, I think you have to be a really big 80s freak to remember RoboForce toys, because I don't.
Yes. Agreed. But I mean, this is Nacelle, you know, the toys that made us people. They, you know, these obscure 80s toy franchises, they've been bringing back, you know, in comic book form and apparently now animated form and whatnot. Yes, they talked about them, so I guess they're being about them at this point. But yeah, RoboForce, I remember seeing RoboForce stuff. I never got into them because they just seemed kind of bootleg. Or was like, you know what, I don't think I would have probably gotten them in the first, even if they weren't, honestly.
Listen, where's Karath when I need him?
Who?
That's all I gotta say.
Indeed. So yeah, Tubi also making moves. So there you go, folks. If you hey, if you know that franchise and you want to know what The Rock is cooking, then there you go, folks. You might check it out. Who knows? Next up, though, X-Men 97 Season 3 gets an Omega level filming update. Might be slightly hyperbole, but Rogue voice actor Lenore Zahn, who I just found out did some anime dubbing for a series that I was watching recently, and you can tell because she definitely sounds just like Rogue in that, has dropped a major update about the future of X-Men 97, which is including when the crew will be working on Season 3. Her quote during Indiana Comic Con convention, which, yeah, guess what, folks? It's that time again. Con season. Let's see. Lenore Zahn revealed that Season 3 will be filming voice lines much sooner than they thought. Quote, I am about to start to go into the studio next week as of this article, which was from 5 days ago, as of this recording, as of our recording, rather. So I got lots to look forward to. So sounds like this 5 days ago would be sometime this week or next week, I guess. I don't know. So there you go, folks. New season incoming probably sometime at the end of this year. We don't know. This really says little to nothing outside of the fact that they're starting filming voices, because we don't know the animation side is how much of the animation side has been done at this point. Or fully, I should say, because we know some has been done. Anyway, next up.
So apparently there was a rumor that Wilson Fisk might be appearing in Spider-Man 4. Obviously, there's a little bit of fodder for that because there is a Spidey-esque mention in Daredevil Season 4. So apparently some stuff went on social media, because that's what happens. D'Onofrio, the actor behind Wilson Fisk, has responded to this rumor, said online, is that right? That he had been cast as that he had been cast in Spider-Man 4. He responded, is that right? Well, no one has told me. So,
Right.
We'll see. That's all we can say at this point.
Right. Is it a case of Marvel snipers? Probably not. But,
Not at this point.
Right.
Not at this point.
Right. I've been thinking about D'Onofrio's portrayal of, as we've been watching Daredevil, and I don't know, maybe, and even in the original show, it's been interesting, especially knowing a little of the man himself's history,
Mm-hmm.
So interesting. Next up, though, Von Glum says, I don't remember them talking about RoboForce, and I love robots as a kid. Same. Like, I watched Zords, I watched Robotics, GoBots, all of them joints. Jason and Will Worries, if you want to throw that in there, I don't know. But yeah, RoboForce is like, I seen it, but I don't remember ever seeing any scrap of a TV show or of a cartoon for it back then. Anyway, next up, though, excuse me, the Russo brothers had to convince Robert Downey Jr. to join Captain America Civil War, quote, the picture of their lives. So, according to this article, the Russo brothers have a very strong relationship with Robert Downey Jr., who convinced, wait. Sorry, I'm trying to read this right because it sounds different from what the title says, but okay, who convinced them to come back and helm the upcoming 2 Avengers films. There we go. 2026 is Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, as he takes the role of Doctor Doom, which I still don't care about much. Hey, whatever. However, the two revealed that they had to convince the actor to join 2016's Captain America Civil War. The duo made their MCU debut with 2014. Y'all know where he came from. Where they came from, let's see. They described how their community work attracted Kevin Feige's attention, and the film did a great job. Scrolling. We pitched Kevin on the idea, and Kevin goes, "All right, I buy it. Now you guys got to go to Downey," end quote, as Anthony Russo recalls. And I was like, "What do you mean we got to go get Downey? Aren't you coming?" And he didn't. So that's kind of funny. So yeah, and then the article goes on how they met Robert Downey Jr. and how they pitched it to them, and apparently it must have worked out because clearly it happened. So there you go. You can read that in an article for yourself, though. Next up.
So apparently, some fans have campaigned to try to get actor Jason Isaacs to be the MCU's version of Magneto, and apparently he responded during a Q&A with Vanity Fair during promo for the latest season of The White Lotus on Max. Jason Isaacs acknowledged the popular fan casting and thanked everyone who has been sharing it, saying, "Thanks very much, fans, many of you, whoever you are."
Oops, sorry. Yeah, Jason Isaac, no stranger to playing, a bad guy character, an adversary. So he would probably make a pretty decent Magneto, maybe. I don't know.
It kind of depends. I hate to say it kind of depends on who they cast as Xavier, if they cast an Xavier,
right,
and also who the main X-Men leads are and how they write the story. Right. Because I don't know if he's going to be that convincing as like the cheesy kind of one-dimensional villain. They've always made him a very three-dimensional character. So,
and also Jason Isaac has played, at least from the couple of things that I know, where he's either played or voiced a bad guy, has been more gritty, kind of more grounded. Even in Discovery, it's kind of slight spoiler for that, but so. I don't know. Yeah, that would be an interesting pick. I don't know if that would be an actually interesting pick, but I have no doubt that he could pull it off. But yeah, like you said, it would depend on who they play him against, for that to work out reasonably. Next up, Von Gloom says, goes back to Daredevil Born Again. Tony Soprano's son is an annoying but likable character, which leads me to believe that Fisk will. Well, there's a theory I'm not going to repeat, but I also kind of agree along those lines. Von Gloom, as I said in the chat, and yeah, I could see that one of those two things happening to that character.
Yeah, I agree with the latter.
Yeah. So, because. Yeah, this especially with what it was said in this particular episode of the show. So, he's too pure to live long, and since Karen Page seems to be immune to getting killed, it might be that kid who gets it. Well, you know what? That goes into other theories that could come up, because it could be that other lady, but I hope not, because I like her. That might catch it, but we'll see. There's plenty of people to go around that could catch a car door or something. Anyway, Bruce Willis told Samuel L. Jackson to find a role, quote, "you can always go back to after bad movies that make no money." Quote, "I got Nick Fury years later." And to be fair, that that role was kind of made for him because of the comics. So it wasn't necessarily he didn't necessarily get it as more for it was made for him to a point. But I get it. So apparently, and you forget, Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson has starred together a couple of different times. The third Die Hard movie, First Note, and then of course the two M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movies, that they starred together with, or excuse me, the one that they starred together with, but they both starred in one single one apiece. Because they tried to do a cinematic universe with that, which I still haven't seen yet. So that's even interesting. But yeah. See, Willis said he told me hopefully you'll be able to the thing I just said, and this was advice that was given to him on the set of Die Hard with Avengers, which was the third Die Hard movie. He said, Arnold's got Terminator, Sylvester's got Rocky and Rambo, I've got John McClane, which, I guess. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it didn't occur to me until I got that Nick Fury role, and I had a 9-picture deal to be Nick Fury that, oh, I'm doing what Bruce said. I got this character now. So, there you go. Therein lies that, folks. Next up.
So apparently one of the more popular rumors online is that Wednesday's actor Jenna Ortega is being courted by Marvel Studios to play a role. But right now, it doesn't seem like Ortega is giving anything away. And she actually says while doing press for the movie The Death of a Unicorn, she recalls and reminds us that she appeared in 2013's Iron Man 3 very briefly, playing the vice president's daughter in the MCU. So she already has appeared in the MCU, and said that she did it once. As being part of the MCU, it was one of the first jobs she ever did. They took all her lines out. She's in Iron Man 3 for a quick second. She takes up the frame, and she's the vice president's daughter. Paul Rudd actually chimes in and says in this, Entertainment Tonight interview that Marvel might have planted the seed all those years ago and laid the groundwork for Jenna Ortega's big return to the MCU. That's pretty funny.
That's an adorable thought, but not. Yeah, I don't. I can't get behind that one, especially with that role that she played. Because seeing this almost made me actually want to go back and watch that. But I don't like Iron Man 3 enough to do that.
Right.
So that's kind of funny. But even still, I mean, he is kind of right, because it's not like there haven't been people who've had other roles in the MCU, well, in a Marvel movie prior to, prior to being into the MCU, much less, being in the MCU already. So it could happen. Von Gloom says if Typhoid Mary is introduced and Vanessa stays unnumbered, they're not doing that. They would have set that up before now. They would have started setting that up. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Typhoid Mary would have been the person they're using now, Muse. But Jenny Ortega is everywhere. Yeah, kinda. Hey, but hey, if you're good, you're good, I guess. Now we go over into the anime corner.
Alrighty.
Transmute.
Also, I wouldn't be surprised if Jenny Ortega and Jennifer Garden do a thing together outside of that commercial they got together, because they do kind of favor a mother-daughter thing or something. I don't know. Or bring back Alias and it's her daughter. Who knows? I don't know. Crunchyroll announces Gotcha Kuda as Crunchyroll exclusive with new trailer. So Studio Bones is certainly having a busy 2025. With this spring seeing the arrival of My Heroes Academia of Vigilante, which, if I'm not mistaken, is out, right? Or is that next month? That's next month,
I'm
isn't
not
it?
sure.
I thought that was out already, but it might be next month with everything else. I say everything else is not right. I'll look it up in a second. But regardless, and of course the final season of My Hero this fall. Let's see, and another big newcomer is on the way this summer, which is called Gachiakuda. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Might not be a premise similar to that of Kohei Horikoshi's World. Excuse me, but might just have the energy to rival it. Crunchyroll has announced that it would be the only spot to stream this upcoming anime juggernaut this July, announcing that the anime story set in a nihilistic garbage dump is rocketing towards fans. Let's see. There's a trailer here. If for those who want to check that out, I was gonna see if this is from something we might or try to get a premise of, but now we'll let that go, and you can find out for yourself if you're interested, or you probably already know if you're an anime fan. Next up,
online fan event Digimon Con 2025 revealed quite literally within the last day that a new Digimon anime series titled Digimon Beat Break is in production and will begin airing in October 2025. A teaser trailer and visual were also unveiled, both featuring emotion-devouring digital life forms as the tagline. Additional details such as plot, cast, and staff will be confirmed at a later date.
Who needs plot for Digimon? Let me stop. That's not. You said about any anime at this point, to be completely fair, but you know, I've had an interesting relationship with Digimon. I like the first few. I would say in my younger days. I have not watched those tear-jerking movies that ended the original Cruise sagas as in the last few years, but you know, Digimon's is kind of all right with me. You know, about as much as Digimon is, or about as much as Pokemon is at that point. They're gonna pop and lock while digivolving. That would
I
be.
was gonna make a joke about that too.
That was for Von Gloom saying that. Which is, if you've not watched that Hypnosis Mike division thing, that shit is funny. That is a quite funny show, and I don't think it's intended to be, but yeah, it's an amusing show. Anyway, next up.
Oh, we're moving on.
No, we still have we have one more in the anime corner. Speaking of One Piece, actually.
All right, One Piece's new Egghead arc. Oh, yeah, I'm the Walrus. Release schedule has one surprising reason. So with only weeks left until, here's some hyperbole for you, One Piece's anime returns from its excruciating hiatus. Fans could not be more excited. Okay, so let's see here. As per the announcement at Jump Festa, Part 2 of One Piece's Egghead arc returns on April 6th, 2025. Instead of its old morning 9:30 a.m. slot, new episodes will be released at 11:15 p.m. Japan Standard Time, making One Piece a late-night show for the first time in its broadcast history. Okay, so apparently that's a big change for people.
As long as One Piece has been around, and as much of One Piece is out there, it still boggles me that it is as popular that it is. That it has gotten popular in the last few years that it has been. Because I know I don't want to speak for Von Gloom. You might be a One Piece fan. I don't know, but I have known some One Piece fans out there, and that's amazing.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is amazing. That's all I can say without, that's a lot. I'm 1,000. There's over 1,000 damn episodes. It's crazy. Anyway, I know Fairy Tail fans are probably mad as hell, but they'll be all right. I should put that out there until next week. We're going to move over into the comic book section.
1 second.
Mm-hmm. Weird previews going on. Boom Studios launch. Well, this is. I'm going to take this as a rumor / report because we don't. I have yet to see anything outside of this particular article about this. But apparently, Boom Studio might be launching a new VR Troopers series by Mairghread Scott, which would make sense coming off of that Prime Power Rangers book, which they crossed over in. What'd you say?
No, I didn't say anything. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay. So yeah, apparently June 2025 is when that's going to happen. There's that Power Rangers VR Troopers one shot that is going to come out on Free Comic Book Day in May. So therein lies that. VR Troopers reboot apparently connects to the original series from 1994-1996. That's the television series. And yeah. And like I said, Mairghread Scott is going to be the writer. And I guess this is news coming out of London Book Fair, according to this article. So, yeah, there you go. We are VR, folks. Next up.
All right. So apparently a British comic book creator, R.E. Burke, or Becky Burke, is still being held in a U.S. Detention facility camp without news of release or repatriation. That was as of Monday, March 17th. As of, I'm not sure when this was published, but there's an update and she's apparently coming home. This all happened as she was crossing the border between Canada and the United States.
Yeah, she got caught by ICE, which, yeah.
Yeah, apparently there was like an issue, like a technical issue with her visa. So
right. Oh, according to this article, it says she received a lot more press the week after the reports, but this is the first time I've heard about this. But this is also me. Von Gluman in the chat says, "What's next? Big Bag Beetleborgs, probably, or a Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad." Yes, either one of those could possibly happen. I would put money on Big Bad Beetleborgs coming out, honestly, as a book. If we're keeping it up. Next up, though, DC's Absolute Comics gets 6th, 5th, and why do they say it this way? 6th, 5th, and 4th and 3rd printings. So Absolute Batman gets a 6th printing. Absolute Wonder Woman gets 5th printings. Absolute Superman gets 4th printings, and I guess more apparently. Twitch. Those are the main 3 are out outside of this week. So yeah, neither Agent 70 and I had a chance to, or took a chance to read the Absolute Flash book from this week, which came out this week. So we couldn't tell you jack about outside of what happens in the news or what came out in the news that we talked about. So yeah, those books are getting stuff and new variant covers because of it. So I guess cool beans, good on them. Sure. Next up.
Almost 90 years of DC history will be refined into an official timeline in New History of the DC Universe. Apparently, it's a chance to realign all of DC's sprawling continuity into one master timeline. Good luck with that.
That's exactly my thought.
Good luck with that.
I'm telling you, to get a dummies book for the DC Universe for out there, and it still wouldn't make any sense. But
right, yeah. So apparently, the new updated story will be told through the eyes of none other than Barry Allen, the classic Flash, whose introduction launched both the Silver Age of comics and the modern DC universe. This is going to be a trip by Barry through time across 4 issues, with the first issue covering the era from the dawn of time to the formation of the Justice Society, the first superhero team. Okay.
So Flashpoint, but no actual Flashpoint.
Yeah, it's just, so the New History of the DC Universe #1 goes on sale June 25th. I guess artist Todd Nauck is on this book. And let's see here. Let's see. Jerry Ordway and Todd Nauck are doing art on this, and Mark Waid is writing it. Okay.
So Mark Waid has been Batman Superman has been a book that Mark Waid has been writing that I have liked and kind of not liked for reasons. I fell off of it, but I need to go back to it. I don't know. Todd Nauck's art. Hey, I love Todd Nauck's art, so we know, I'm with it on that respect. Jerry Ordway, of course, hey. I don't know. We'll probably check this out. We'll be talking about it because this is something I gotta see, like how they're gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? So, good old Barry, will Impulse still be his grandson? Yeah, well, I don't know. Probably. Next up, though, Fantastic Zero. Marvel's Fantastic Four goes back to year 0. This sounds suspiciously like a Fantastic Four 1 million BC, but no. So, according to this, I'm going to go ahead and read it. Billions of years ago, the Big Bang burst the 7 cosmoses. I'm not going to do a Big Bang theory here, so don't worry about that. And cosmic powers as old as the universe itself, the Infinity Gems, Galactus, abstract entities, Eternity, Master Order, Lord Chaos and Death, and the Fantastic Four. Marvel's first family has long been adventurers and explorers of the unknown, and their final adventure will end at the beginning, not Fantasy Four #1, which ushered in the modern age of Marvel age of comics, but in the very beginning of the Marvel universe. So Marvel has been teasing that the Fantastic Four will be 4 no longer. We've already established that is the case now. Let's see. And their current dealings with Duel now, that has already been established. So apparently, Doom's defeat of the Fantastic Four will then unfold over 4 issues of FF. The Fab Four will be reduced to 3 in 30, then 2 in 31, 1 in issue number 32, and finally 0 in FF number 33, which I feel like they've done that before. Something like that kind of seems familiar. Anyway, Fantastic Four 0 once more follows the foursome into the unknown, the Big Bang. And their solicitations for this, and here, that is the cover for one World on the Doom, and then there's the cover for Fantastic Four 30, and so on and so on, and so on. Yeah. Next up.
So apparently, in all new Venom number 4, was that out this week? There's some major spoilers in this news story, but bottom line is Rick Jones is not the absolutely all new Venom, but he is harboring a Venom related secret. I'm not spoiling everything, but
no.
The big spoiler, which is that Rick Jones is not the all new Venom,
and he's not dead, which because long-time Marvel fans know Rick Jones used to be every damn where. I mean, that's slightly hyperbolic, but he was in enough places. He's been attached to enough superheroes to be considered everywhere, put it that way. So I think that the all-new Venom has been outed already, and I don't know, but yeah. Also, for some strange reason that made me harken back to a Daredevil Born Again, where a character was talking about a certain case that they were taking up, and it made me think of somebody that would say something like, "And it's not what you think."
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny if that was actually the case that they were working on, but we'll probably never ever see.
Right. I was about to say, speaking of Daredevil, we're circling back to Daredevil. All of a sudden, I have this hankering for Fiddle Faddle.
Yes. Or some. Well, I'm trying to remember the other brand. Not Crunchy Munch. Poppycock. But yes, Fiddle was.
I've never heard of that, but I have heard of Fiddle Faddle. I kind of got a kick out of Matt Murdock saying it at the same time. It's like Fiddle Faddle, like really?
Yes. Oh no.
Was that product placement for real?
Probably, kind of. Yes, I answered. It kind of was, which is kind of funny. Man, sorry if you haven't had poppycock. It's some great stuff. They got some pretty good flavors in there. But anyway, they are not sponsoring us either, so we're not. We're not unless they want to, and that's fine. But not Nutter Butter, sir. No. Anyway, the Ultimates reinvent themselves. The mutant opposition try to repair Wolverine's mind, and more in upcoming Ultimate issues. So I guess this is a Marvel story talking about Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion #1, Ultimate Spider-Man #17. Actually, 13 came out this week, and I didn't get the chance to read it. Ultimates #13, Ultimate Spider-Man #18, Ultimate Wolverine #6, and Ultimate X-Men #16, of which I think 14 came out this week. But yeah. So this is a story. I won't go too far into it because this is basically solicitations, specific solicitations. But yeah, some stuff's going down the line, coming down the line. Some of which we are surprised, some of which we still don't know what the hell's going on in books. So, nevertheless, next up, I am curious about that Incursion book, seeing Miles come back into this version of the Ultimate Universe, though. It'll be interesting. Next up, though.
Right. So this article gives us some more information on Jonathan Hickman's Imperial. Right, this is a 4-issue event series that Marvel promises will revolutionize Marvel's galactic canon and lays the foundation for an entire new landscape of interconnected space set stories. Hickman is joined by artist Federico Vicentini and Iban Coelho on Imperial. The limited series throws the wider galactic societies of the Marvel Universe into disarray as several important leaders from different empires are eliminated. This story is going to loop in numerous characters, including the Hulks, namely Bruce Banner, Jennifer Walters, and Scar, who will all don Planet Hulk-style armor. And you're also going to see the Black Panther, the Nova Corps, including Richard Rider, and some new looks for spacefaring characters.
I was about to say, at this point, the Nova Corps is Richard Rider, but
right.
I mean, I guess okay. The Alexander kid, sure, he's still counts, of which we just saw. But anyway, I do love this tagline: "Never let a crisis go to waste," which is funny. Yeah, I don't know. I obviously, as a fan of Hickman's work, I'm looking forward to this, but after Gods, I'm slightly concerned. And it shouldn't be, honestly. Because that was a wholly different thing.
Right, and that was a little bit out there, whereas this, we'll see how this develops. It's a 4-issue series.
Yeah, Sam Alexander, thank you, Von Gloom. And yeah, but, I'm looking forward to some more, don't get me wrong, love Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm looking forward to some Hickman Mumbo Jumbo. Not gonna lie.
Right. Right. This is more of a place for Hickman Mumbo Jumbo.
Absolutely. How does Hulk have an empire when Sakaar blew up? Hey, who's to say that has anything to do with why they're involved?
Exactly.
Or there could be some refugees out there. Let's just put it that way. We don't know. None of us know anything. We'll find out when this happens, and we'll all have a good laugh. Toy Corner, Hasbro.
Oh, I was about to say we should put out the date. Imperial #1 goes on sale June 4th. Not far from now.
Yes, not far at all. Yes, thank you for that. Hasbro X-Men Legends Nemesis Build-A-Figure Wave is in hand. Here's some pictures right here of them all together, including the Build-A-Figure if you're watching the video version. I'll let our resident Marvel Legends expert, Agent 70, speak upon whether he's going to get any of these or care or not.
It's not a wave that I'm going to be looking to get too much from, but it's nice to see certain characters from the 90s getting some love. Lots of people have a healthy dislike for Marrow, but it's about time we saw Marrow. If anyone's putting together Generation X, team. We got a Husk here. If you're doing anything surrounding the acolytes, the characters who featured in the first adjectiveless X-Men issues, there's Fabian Cortez. In Age of Apocalypse, that's the Nemesis. That's where Nemesis comes from, and the Gambit is also from there. The Wolverine specifically is actually not Ultimate. It's actually, I think, an Extreme.
I think that is, yeah.
Right. The Nightcrawler is going to be probably the most popular figure here. And maybe after that, maybe the Cyclops, the X Factor Cyclops. We'll see.
Right. Isn't this the Age of Apocalypse Gambit in that TVA book, which also came out this week, which we didn't read? There is a version of Gambit in that book, but I can't remember if it's that one.
Right. I don't think it's the Age of Apocalypse, but I could be wrong. I could have forgotten by now.
Yeah, I don't know. There's Cyclops right there. So yeah. Von Gloom says, "Damn, Nemesis looks creepy as hell." Which, yeah.
I still, I understand why they changed his name, but I still remember him as Holocaust.
Yeah. Yes. Indeed. There's Marrow. Oh, there's a lot of images here. Good gosh. Why is Mega Man? Okay, Mega Man and Ryu with Marrow. Okay, that's funny. Marvel versus Capcom. I got you. Let's see, there's Husk, who we have seen recently. Yeah, there's Fabian Cortez. There's still a lot of images, so we're just gonna. There's Nemesis there. Nemesis formerly Holocaust, but editorial caught wind of how problematic that name is. Yes, indeed.
It's not absolutely. That's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm. And okay, Von Gloom says it's not Age of Apocalypse Remy. So okay, I didn't think so, but it was like it seemed similar enough to where you can kind of make that mistake. But I need to catch up on that. Regardless, those are the figures there. If you're into them, you're into them. If you're not, hey, keep it pushing with Marvel Collecticon. This is for that Spirit Spider figure from the Gamerverse thing, which we talked about. Apparently, that's out there now. At Walmart, $24.97. Have at it if you feel like having at it. I'm not crazy about the figure myself, and I'm pretty sure Agent 70 is not as well.
Oh no, seriously, I still can't believe that figure exists.
I can, because like I said, a lot of those suits from those games have been popping up, so I'm not surprised. But yeah, next up.
All right, RoboSen Devastator is a possible Transformers Constructicons team. So we have a first look at this. So this is, RoboSens is the automatic, the moving, the people who do the transforming and remote control, Megatron and Optimus. And apparently now these are drawings of a possible RoboSen Devastator release. That's crazy.
That would be crazy. It is crazy and probably cool as fuck. But how? Okay, so I guess how? I mean, that's a dumb question. Because you can kind of see how, especially with how, if you know how the Constructicons build, but that would be crazy. And one step closer to me trying to basically caving and getting one of those goddamn things that's cost way too much.
Which are very expensive.
Yes. Because believe you me, I have wanted the Prime more so than the Megatron, but for obvious reasons. But
I mean, they're very cool. Like, have you seen them in person at a con?
No.
I've seen them for several years now at New York Comic Con. I just sort of passed by and marveled at how very cool the robotic RoboSen versions are. But it's not something I would ever plop money down for. But I know that people enjoy seeing the demonstrations.
Yeah, people with more money than sense also probably, I'm sure, have their hands on them.
Right.
Right.
Not even that. Just they just had they're privileged to have that disposable income, right? I get that.
Yeah.
You know.
Von Gloom says AOA Remy wouldn't be cooking beignets, which that was a thing that happened. Plus his rogue got knocked up by Magneto. Yeah. They want me to be bankrupt. Yeah. I mean, these RoboSyn figures, well, the last couple have been cool. So if this actually happens, I don't know. Definitely it'll be worth watching. If they can be individually controlled, then combined into one and still controlled. Yeah, I would question whether that first part would happen, because that's a lot of moving parts for one remote.
Right.
And no pun intended for that, but that would be cool if that happened. I'll put it that way. So I'm just I'm sitting here trying to figure out how that would actually work out if they were going to be individually controllable.
Right. My guess is that they would not be individually controllable, but once you put them together, they are controlled as a unit. That's my guess.
Right. And if, just like the other ones, they go from robot, if they individually go from robot form to their vehicle form and then together.
That's a lot of mechanical, engineering to do. So
it's a lot of moving parts. So that's. I mean, like granted, like I said, the constructor parts is not like you had that much to do when we're making Devastator, because a couple of head moves here and this and that and the other, and most of the time most of it was like they were just going on as their vehicle forms. So that part wouldn't be the hard part. It's the rest of it. But anyway, that's if they have Godspeed on them. Let that happen if it happens. And then someone buy us one too. Next up, though, is this you or me? I don't remember.
No, this is you.
Okay. Hasbro unveils new Transformers Cybertron Chase Takara Tomy 3-pack. We may have talked about this one before. I don't remember, but apparently this is a newer story. But it is Jazz, Bumblebee, and Wheeljack in their Cybertronian forms. Which, let's face it, I mean, I was going to say who cares, but that would be a slight lie. There are people who care for that. But let's see, Bumblebee is at 4 inches tall, Jazz and Wheeljack at 5 inches. They'll all come with blasters and energon rods, because you remember that part of the first episode and whatnot. Let's see, and it'll be set for $94.99, and pre-orders are live now. So if you're interested, have at it. I mean, it'd be cool to kind of have if you wanted a diorama that went from before and after or something like that. I don't know what other use they would be. So next up.
All right, Hasbro debuted an exclusive Transformers Age of the Primes figure with a character named Sideways. So this is from the Transformers Cybertron animated series.
Oh, that would explain why I don't know.
Got me with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming in at 5.5 inches tall, Sideways will convert into a Cybertronian jet in just 21 steps. Goodness.
I love how they've been doing that lately. It was like, yeah, here's how many steps it takes to transform these things. Because they've been doing that the last couple of years, and that's completely funny to me. Also, I can't stop thinking about that song "Sideways" by "These Feelings Won't Go Away." By I forgot the name. Regardless, let's move on because it's getting late and I'm getting punchy. Transformers fan gets a surprising re-release with one of the most underrated primes. I think that might be a little bit of hyperbole. I don't know. Let's see. Transformers Legacy Evolution, Nacelle, and Nova Prime are about to be re-released in the coming months. Both toys are only 2 years old, but given their previously exclusive nature, they are somewhat hard to come by. As the latest toy line in the franchise is now coming, fans can finish their collection of the previous series with these reissues. So let's see. This is a reprint See, Nacelle is a Voyager class figure that's a repaint of a Transformers War for Cybertron. Siege Star Scream. And Nova Prime is a white repaint of War for Cybertron Siege Galaxy Upgrade Optimus Prime, which is a lot of words put together. Let's see. The sale is $34.99 and Nova Prime is $54.95, and both available for pre-order. And November 2025 re-release date. Next up.
All right, so London-based prop store is one of the world's premier entertainment memorabilia auction houses, and this spring, specifically March 26th to 28th in Los Angeles, Prop Store's entertainment memorabilia live auction will kick off, and they have some really interesting. They have a really interesting selection of priceless film-used Star Wars collectibles. Two of the showcase lots that should have fans and collectors salivating are Luke Skywalker's Medal of Yavin from Star Wars A New Hope and Chewbacca's lethal bowcaster seen in all three films of the original Star Wars trilogy. These authentic artifacts are each estimated to be pre-auction valued at between $250,000 and $600,000. Wow.
That's a lot of doll hairs. The metal, not so much. The bowcaster, hell fucking yes. If we're being honest.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you could probably 3D print the metal. Not somebody has.
Right, but according to this article, only two medals were believed to have been made for the film, so it's one of two.
Right, I know these are the original props, so
right.
and I get that part, but yeah, no.
Apparently, no backup of the bowcaster was ever produced, but so this is the OG one of one.
So then, what was the one they used? So I guess that was a redo in Force Awakens.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having the bowcaster. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to you, folks. But yeah, that's never gonna happen. All right, do me a favor, Agent 7, take this next one, and you'll understand why after you do that one.
Alrighty. Playmates unveils Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Military Turtles 4-pack. Okay. So the Military Turtles, which were originally introduced to the toy line in the 90s, have now come back as a special bundle arriving from Playmates for Walmart Collector Con. So Mutant Military returns with Lieutenant Leo, Raph the Green Teen Beret, Navy SEAL Mike, and Delta Team Don. The 4-pack is priced at $45 with a drop on March 3rd, only at Walmart. Okay.
Yeah, sure. That's cute.
That's an interesting one. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I had Agent 70 do that one because I'm going to do these next three because I know he would probably not be interested in this. And therefore...
Nap time.
Huh?
I said it's nap time.
These will be quick, though. So the Digimon franchise is getting its own mobile card game of its own, a la Pokemon card game Pocket. So it is going to be called Digimon Allison or Elysian, I guess. This was news that came out from yesterday, the day before, is Digimon Con. So it's going to be free to play digital card game on iOS and Android. If I'm mistaken, they do have one, but it's like how to play the physical card game. So that's beside the point. Anyway, so in addition to card battle, Elysian will also seemingly feature an in-depth story mode and give you the ability to raise Tamagotchi-like virtual pets. So a teaser trailer for the game introduces human protagonist Kanata Hondo, her in-game currency, inspired Digimon partner Jimon, yes, as well as variety of other Digimon from the franchise's past. Namco Bandai has yet to share a release window for Elysian, but a closed beta is supposed to be launching in the coming months. And also from Digimon Con, Digimon Color Godzilla 70th edition digital pet has been revealed. So speaking of Tamagotchi, hey, guess what? It's a Digimon / Godzilla Tamagotchi. If that wasn't plain enough. So it's going to be the Godzilla edition of the Digimon Color toy that it announced back in November 2024. In total, there'll be 34 Digimon to raise in this toy, including collaboration ones that are Digimon infected with G-cells. You can watch the trailer for Digimon Color Godzilla 70th edition toys right here on this article. And last but not least, Digimon Story Time Stranger confirms 3 partner Digimon. So this is the new Digimon game from Bandai Namco. And let's see. Apparently, there's also something from PlayStation State of Play, but not much was revealed about Digimon Story Time Stranger during this initial reveal, save for the presence of several classic monsters from the beloved Digimon Anime series and a glimpse at the game's dimension-spanning story. It says here that Time Stranger is a turn-based RPG, just like the previous Digimon Story games, with players able to recruit and train a team of digital monsters to feed off enemies and uncover a mysterious threat to both human and digital worlds. Change into digital monsters. Let's see. Live stream Digimon Con. We got Patamon, Gomamon, and Devimon. Apparently that was in the trailer. And looks like there is a 2025 launch window release date, but no actual real date. So probably holiday. There's a good chance for that, where most games come through. So there you go. If you're a Digimon fan, you got some stuff out there coming your way. And that, folks, is it for the news section. We want to get in one last ad read.
Our last ad read of the night. Please keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Now, if you shop at Amazon often, bookmark the link or add it as your homepage so that you can help the CSPN every time you order. We thank you for your support. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
Yeah, there used to be a good Google Chrome extension that would basically plug it in for you. All you had to do was just put the link in there, and every time you go to Amazon, it would just go ahead and just do it for you. I don't know if that's still out there or not. Regardless, folks, Von Gloom says, I still want to know how a cat becomes a Lady Angel Valkyrie or a cactus becomes a fairy. Pokemon at least kept the same overall species. Yeah, for the most part. A cat stayed a cat while it evolved. Yeah, pretty much. But you know what? Some would say those were, Some would say that's where Pokemon went wrong and Digimon went wild. Some would say that. I can't say that I would. But regardless, those are mysteries, and probably drug-fueled mysteries that will stay hidden forever. But with that, folks, hey, guess what? We're at the end of the show. We're getting out of here because it's late. But we're just going to say that we'll be back next week, and just like we will. We don't have anything coming up because things are things. With the exception of Daredevil is still out there.
There's 2 episodes out
There
next
you
week,
go.
I think.
Mm-hmm. And we don't have any other stuff pertinent outside that. I think coming until April sometime. So, anywho's, folks, I have been Radicat. You can find me at Radicat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can also find me at on Blue Sky at Radicat. You can also find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. And you can find us find the show, the Cold Slither Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
Yoshi hides a kite. Hey, Toshihiro, what if the walrus became a T-Rex?
Oh, no.
You know, yes, drug uses and anime probably go hand in hand, let's be honest, because there's some bunkers things out there. You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that definitely helps people find our show.
Yeah, I think Watanabe's... No, that's 2 weeks. Never mind. But Watanabe's anime starts in a couple of weeks. So yeah, youtube.com/TheKliqNation, twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. That's where we go live every week. You know, you can check us out there. There will be video games on twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. I promise that, and I will keep that promise. And with that, folks, this has been Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
And knowing is half the battle.
Good evening, Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your